Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to Stuff in Excel. I'm Richard, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at one of the many lookup tools in Excel. We're going to look at Vlookup in this video. So we're going to look at several different scenarios where you might want to use Vlookup, and we're going to look at the different limitations of Vlookup because I think it'll help you appreciate some of the other functions once we get to them. So let's start with this data, and you can imagine we've got data 30,000 lines long. I've only shown you about 10 lines here or so, but let's say we've got this data here. We've got item number, item description, quantity, and price. And what we'd like to do is we'd like a situation where you can maybe type in the item number and you get the price of it. You've seen these kind of things before. If you go to any kind of a search engine where you type in somebody's name and you get their phone number. That's a lookup kind of function. You go to a store and they type in a particular product number and it pops up maybe the quantity that they've got in inventory or where it's located or the price of it. So those are all lookup functions, and we've all seen them before. Usually the data itself is located somewhere else, and all that you as the purchaser, as the searcher, see is the results of the lookup. But that data is out there somewhere. And the data itself is called the table array. It's the array of data that you're using. We're actually going to put the lookup feature and the array on the same page, though you would probably not usually do this. The data itself would usually be on another page. Let's say we want to be able to look up the item number for an item that we have in our store. And at the same time, we want it to return to us the price of that item. Now, a couple of things I want you to remember about Vlookup, a couple of rules you have to remember. So the first rule is that Vlookup will not look for anything that is to the left of what we call the lookup array. And we'll talk about that term in a minute. So whatever you're trying to search by, whatever the thing is you're searching for, has to be in the left-hand column of your table of data. It will not look for anything that's to the left of that. Okay. Second thing is the lookup array has to be in descending order. It has to be in alphabetical or numerical order. It can't be in any kind of a random or haphazard order. That's really important because otherwise Vlookup does not know how to do it. So that's really important because what we're going to do in this case is we're going to be looking up things by item number, but because the item number is already in numerical order, that's going to be to our benefit. And I'll leave this on the screen so we can see it. Now, the first item I want us to identify is the item number. Now, the item number, for our purposes, will be referred to as the lookup item. Okay, this is your lookup value. Okay, so the item in this cell is referred to as the lookup value, and so the lookup value is what we're going to type in, and then this is going to be the return value, and I don't know why I've got a Z in there. The return value. So the lookup value is what we're looking up. The return value is what the command will give back to us. So what we're going to do first is we're going to actually turn this into a drop-down list. I think it's much easier, and this is a skill that I've got another video on that if you've been watching my videos, you will have learned earlier. But here's how we're going to do that. We're going to go in and we're going to click in the cell where we want the drop-down list. We're going to hit Data. Then we're going to go all the way over to where it says Data Validation. And you may look for this symbol. When you click on Data Validation, one of the items it gives you, it opens up this window, and we're going to choose List. Okay. Now, once you choose list, the next thing you have to do is tell where the list is. In this case, our list is actually in our table of values, and it's going to exist right over here in that first column A. I'll hit OK. So now what I've got here, you see right beside this, I've got a little drop-down window. Hopefully you can see that. If not, let me put a little circle around it so that you can see it. I've got a drawing pen around here somewhere. Here we go. So this little circle, that little thing right there is what you want. So we've got the circle around our lookup value. Now the lookup value will be located in the lookup array. The lookup array is the column of data points where all the different potential values are for the lookup value, and in this case it's over in column A. So when I'm going to put in my command, I need to know this is the lookup value. Where the lookup value list is the lookup array. So in this next cell, H4, what I'm going to do is in H4, I am going to, let's get out of this. Hold on a second. So in cell H4, I'm going to put my VLOOKUP formula. So I'll say equals VLOOKUP. And I'm going to hit my Control A and open my dialog window because I really like to use this. So up here in the dialog window, my lookup value, of course, is going to be over here in cell H3. So I'll just click on that cell, and it automatically puts it in my dialog box. Now my table array is going to be over here. The table array in VLOOKUP is actually the entire table. Now I could just click on the table, and it would give it to me, but I'm going to actually highlight the whole thing. And it picks it up as table 1. And now it's going to assume that the lookup value is in the far left corner of my table array. So the lookup value, VLOOKUP assumes that that's where it's going to find the lookup value. When we get to xlookup, we're actually going to find the lookup array. But in VLOOKUP, all we're going to do is we're going to highlight the entire array of data, and VLOOKUP will assume that the lookup value is in that left-hand column. So the next thing I've got to do is go down and type my column index. So what VLOOKUP is going to say is, look, you're going to tell it, I'm looking up this item in this table. It's in the far left column, and once you find it, I want you to go over so many columns and return the value that is in that column. So if we want to return the price, that's in column 1, 2, 3, 4. So why it doesn't use the letters that are in the columns, I don't know, but we're going to go over 4 columns. We'll put in 4 in here, and we'll say OK. And now it's not to return anything because I haven't told it to look up anything. If I go up here and I click on, let's look up unit or item 100003. Sure enough, it's $3. And I know that looks right. If I go look up 100009, it's $49.95. So I can tell for any item number you give me, I can tell you what the price of that is. Now, what happens if we add a line of data to this? You notice this, the table array is in a table format. So when I add another item, let's say it's 100011, and I add, let's say, a backpack. And let's say I've got 12 of them, and they're $150. Okay. Now, I've added that. Well, let's take that number. It got too many zeros. Let's reduce that by 1 0. So I've added this backpack to my list. When I go to my drop-down menu, you'll notice that number right here has been added, right? So it automatically picked up that number. But when I go search for that, it finds the price, doesn't it? It found it because this is all in the right order. Okay. Now watch what happens if I insert a column. What if I inserted another column in here and between C and B? So we're right-clicking to insert a column, and we said that then let's just call that column color. Now the problem is if I go put in a color and now I have it search for something. Let's go back and have it search for say 10002. It's still picking that up, isn't it? It picked up that I wanted that, but it didn't, did it? It says the price is $50. No, because what it picked up was the quantity. So and if you look at this, it's now going over to the 4th column. Since I added a column, the 4th column is no longer my price. Now the 4th column is my quantity. So if I insert a column into my table array, I'm going to have to also change my column that I'm looking for to column 5 in order to get the right amount, because it will change whatever amount is showing up because I've added a column, but it's still only going to the 4th column, whereas now price is in the 5th column. So that's a problem. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is let's go try a different VLOOKUP situation when what we're doing is we're not looking in the A column, but looking in column B. So now we're looking for something that we're using the description to go find the price. Okay, so let's go find, again, I'm going to create my drop-down list. And I'm going to create that, and it's going to be in, this time it's going to be in my item description area. So it's there. And now I've got a drop-down menu there. So now I do my VLOOKUP equals VLOOKUP. Control A. This is my lookup value up here in cell H3, so I'll click on it, hit Tab. My table array, now you have to define your table array very carefully. So I'm going to define my table array right here as starting with basketball and going over to price. And notice I did not include the item number in my table array because it's going to assume that the lookup value is in the far left column of my identified table array. In this case, that's what I've done. Now I've also got to put my column index, and that's going to be column 3 in this case. So I hit OK. Now I can go up and I can look for batting helmet. It says 15. Okay, wait a minute, that's not right. What if I look up fishing reel? It says it's 15. That's not right. What if I look up sleeping bag? It says it's 15. That's not right. Why isn't it right? Okay, it's not right because remember my rule. Remember the rule that we had. Okay, one of the rules, and let's go back here and stick it in. Remember our rules. The lookup array must be in descending order. It is not in alphabetical order, is it? So what we would have to do is click in this table, and remember we can click anywhere in the table. We'll go to Data, Sort, and we'll sort by item descriptions, A to Z. Now when I look this up, look, it's giving me the right amount. If I go look up batting helmet now, it gives me the right price. If I look up fishing reel now, it gives me the right price. And the reason it does that is because I now put the lookup items in alphabetical order. Now the problem with this, if I add something else to the table, in order to make it work, I'm going to have to resort the data. So if I went in and added item 10000 or actually 011, and I added a backpack, the backpack is no longer in alphabetical order. So when I go look up backpack, I want you to watch what's going to happen. It added it, but it's not going to pick up the right amount, is it? If I go up, now if I pick up baseball, it picks up the right amount. If I try to go batting helmet, it picks up the right amount. But if I try to go to backpack, it doesn't pick up the right amount. What do I have to do? I have to click in my table, go back to Data, Sort, Item Description, OK, and resort. Now it picks it up. So this is a problem. If I'm going to be adding anything to my table of data, and I'm using Vlookup, I have to resort the lookup column every single time before I use the Vlookup equation. If I don't do that, then we're going to have a problem with the actual results of my lookup process. Now, we also cannot look up anything to the left. So if I try to look up, instead of that, if I try to look up item number, and I redo my formula here, so let's get rid of that and do equals Vlookup. And I do Control A, and I'm doing, this is my lookup value. Tab, this is my, again, this is my array because the backpack has got to be in the left-hand column, right? And I'm trying to look up something in this. Let's just say it's column -1. It doesn't know what to do. Okay, it's just Vlookup and say, I don't know what to do. I can't go to the left. I can only go to the right. So that's going to be a problem. We're going to have to figure out how to do it. Now we've got one more issue I want to look at with Vlookup, and that is what happens when we've got a secondary search item, a secondary lookup value. So not only do we have the primary description, we've got a secondary description. In this case, a backpack can be large, medium, or small. A stove could be a propane stove or a wood stove. How do we do that? So we're going to do a couple of things, and we're going to have to use another feature. Again, this time I've got 2 search items. So I'm going to have to create 2 drop-down menus. So I'm going to have to create a drop-down menu for description, and that's going to be right here. Oh, I've got to put my click in it. So there's my description. I've also got to do a drop-down list for my type. Now what I'm going to do, the problem is if I try to do Vlookup and I go equals Vlookup, I can only put in 1 lookup value. That's a problem. I've got multiple lookup values I need to be using. I want to look up a backpack large, but I can't do that. This doesn't give me the capability to put in 2 lookup values. But I can't put in one lookup value. And what if I could put those two together? Even though they're in separate columns, what if when I look them up, I could look them up both at the same time? Well, actually, we can do that. And what we're going to do is we're going to, it says there's a problem with that formula. Of course, there's a problem with that formula. It doesn't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to go create over here to the right, we're going to create a new value. And that value is going to be equals whatever is my lookup value in J3. Then use the ampersand, and we're going to add it to whatever the lookup value is in J4. Okay. Now, if I, for instance, pick football, it's going to show football. If I pick, let's go down here and say sleeping bag, and then in my second one I pick, that's right, that's another. So let's go back. Let's go pick, let's go here and all the way down and pick backpack. And now I'm going to pick medium. Notice I put those two together right there. Backpack and medium are together. Now I can actually, in my VLOOKUP, I can go look for that, except that it doesn't have that over here. So I've added a column called concat. So let's get out of this and let's create my concat. And the way we do it, we're just going to simply say equals whatever is in cell C3 and whatever's in cell D4, or D3, excuse me. And it's going to put those together, and we can see backpack medium, backpack small, stove propane, stove wood. They're all there together. Now, this is going to be really helpful to me because what I'm going to be able to do now is I'm going to be able to search. But I have to do one more thing. Remember, my description has to be in alphabetical order. And the description I'm using, my lookup value, is actually not basketball, but it's the concated value of column C and column D. So I've got to take this and click in this table. I'm going to go up to data, sort, and I've got to sort by my concated value to get them all in the right order. Now I can do my search. So now if I go up here in my equals VLOOKUP, my lookup value is no longer in cell, looks like J3 or J4. My actual lookup value is over here in K3. I'm looking up the concated value of those two numbers. So I click there. Now I'm going to go down, my table array starts over here in cell B3 and goes down to F17. My column index, if I'm looking up price, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm looking in the 5th column. Hit OK, and it's going to look that up. And no matter what I pick, if I pick, let's say I pick, let's pick backpack, let's pick large. It's going to give it to me. Backpack small, it's going to give it to me. If I go to stove, okay, so stove is going to be over here. Let's see if I can, there, no, that's not it. I went too far. Stove, and I go to propane. It's going to give it to me. So that's really a useful tool now. I can put those together using concat, but it's really messy. So one little last cleanup item here, I can clean this up by hiding that column. Right click, and I'm going to go all the way down to hide. And I can hide that column. Now you'll notice that it goes from column H, I, J to L. Where's column K? Well, column K is still there. I can stretch it out. We can still see it. But remember, we hid that, right? So if I wanted to unhide it, it's very easy. I simply highlight columns J and L, right-click, go down to unhide, and it brings that back. But by hiding it, it makes it look a little bit cleaner, and you don't actually see it. It knows to go look in that cell K3, but it's not going to show me cell K3, so it's a really great way just to clean it up and make it look better. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that told you and helped you understand how to use VLOOKUP as a tool in Excel. Hopefully that was helpful. We're glad you were here at Stuff in Excel. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you liked it. Click that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel, or hit the notification bell in case you want to get notification of future videos. In the meantime, have a great day. We'll see you real soon on Stuff in Excel.